Welcome everyone to the show. I'm not quite sure what happened to Jonathan tonight, but so I'm going to give this a shot on my own. I set up a little kitty cam. So that's this little girl over here. Hopefully she stays where she's supposed to, but she decides to roam around where she wants. I can move the camera a little bit. But today we have a lot of tech and news that deals, well, political news that deals in tech. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
That's the first failure for tonight. Sorry about that. But we have our first article here, and that is Alphabet's AI might be able to predict kidney disease. And, given that there's a bunch of medical breakthroughs with artificial intelligence, it's only natural that that this is another progression of that. Now why is that not showing the cam now? Let's see. Sorry everyone. Yeah, the camera. It's supposed to be the camera, but it's showing that. Okay, this makes no sense. But anyway, which, that's been the trend since the age of automation, as everything is being automated to eliminate human error, or even humans as being a part of the equation. Because I guess you would say would be the natural progression, because with automation in factories, automation even in the current medical field, your scans are scanned overseas where the labor's cheaper, and everybody's going to chase that buck to be able to reduce their costs, but they don't seem to pass it on to everyone else. And that's where I have an issue with that so much. But I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing that they'll be able to detect, kidney problems or kidney disease, 48 hours before it's even occurred. So I chalk that up to being a good thing. But then again, how many more jobs are going to be lost because of it? Who knows? But to our next story, and that is a two-track algorithm to detect deepfake images. Now, what you're seeing here is the bird, and the bird is real. That's a real photograph of a bird. What's not real is the twig that he's standing on, and that's what these researchers are developing and have developed to be able to detect that this part of the image is fake. The twig part of the image is fake, but the bird is real. And sadly, again, in this day and age, which is everybody's moving towards, faking this and faking that and faking this and faking that, you have to have a way to be able to say, okay, this image is real and this image is doctored. And it's even coming to video where videos are doctored. And it's very difficult to tell. I mean, if you watch the Endgame movie, it's very realistic. The main villain, which I can't think of his name right now, but I'm sure people will remind me what his name is. But, you know, he was very realistic. Very, very realistic. And it's not going to get, you know, less realistic in the future. It's going to become even more realistic in the future. So we'll see how well that continues to go again in the future. But in the meantime, we need these bots, you know, algorithms and artificial intelligence to be able to say, you know, hey, this looks very realistic. Is it real? It might be. It might not be. But that's the society we live in now as we grow and learn as a society. Now to our next topic. Microsoft catches Russian state hackers using Internet of Things devices to breach networks. And they're getting in, I mean, it's everything that's connected to the internet, including things like your printer, like this one I have up here. It's connected to my intranet, my local LAN, but I don't have it, so it's accessible outside the network, so it's safe. But if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a vulnerability to be able to say, you know, hey, I want to get to this printer, and somehow people were able to access the printer, they can print whatever they want on my printer. Well, who knows what else they'll be able to do with that, especially if you have devices connected to the internet, like vulnerabilities in Alexa and the Google Hub. What you doing? You gonna take a nap right there? Everybody's looking at you. You tired of being a star for now? Get this off your whiskers. She's so cute. She's my new co-host for today, because normally you'd see Jonathan there, but like I say, I don't know what happened to him today, so moving on with the show, because we weren't able to do it yesterday, and thought we had it set up for today, but I will admit I wasn't. I should have double checked on that with him, and I didn't follow through with it, and I should have. So today it's just George. Anything goes with just George and no Jonathan. But we have the little kitty camera. Yes, we do. We have the little kitty cam. And to our next subject, we have a small satellite launcher, Rocket Lab, and this is not Tesla, the guy that runs Tesla. This is a separate company named Rocket Labs, unveils plans to recover its rockets midair with helicopters. And this is kind of, okay, this is just flat out janky, because all it is a helicopter with this big hook right here. And then when the rocket goes up, as it falls back to Earth, it of course deploys these two parachutes. And they're connected with a twine, or, a string. And all this does, this little hook here just hooks onto that string, and so the helicopter can bring it to a nearby ship to recover it. So my opinion on that, you would need a pretty skilled pilot. But I'm sure there's going to become a time when even pilots are automated, and you just have a helicopter, it senses its location and just goes and gets it. Which is cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's cool, but it's still kind of janky because all it is just a helicopter with a hook. Okay. And to our next story, Amazon is asking the FCC for permission to test a new internet service. Now, we covered part of this a little while ago, where Amazon financed the sending up of a bunch of satellites into space for the purpose of having internet worldwide, and now they're asking to be able to test it. Now, one thing that this article was an older article, and I don't believe we touched on it, and we probably should have, but Russia has said no to Amazon over their territory. So they're wanting to promote this service worldwide is probably going to happen, except for, but obviously not in Russia unless Russia approves it. But I would think that since it's, space-based, that they really don't have jurisdiction, but then again, somehow, some way they might, because Amazon is a commercial entity and not a state. Like the United States, we have satellites that monitor what Russia does, and they know that they're up there. And okay, so I'm guessing it's because it's a commercial entity that they can tell Amazon, no, you can't do that. And to our next article, which is, and this is kind of a little with me, because it deals with what is, an Act 230, which is protection for private blocking and screening of offensive material. And that's, federal law, and it's a statute that was in the 1996 law. Well, now we have people like Senator Ted Cruz, who wants to mess with this law, which is essentially the safe harbor provision for sites like Google, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and everybody else. And what that does is allows those platforms to exist, because they're not liable for what people say or what videos are uploaded. They're only accountable to when people do like DMCA takedowns, copyright notices, and things like that. So the fact, and what this is leading to is the censorship, quote unquote. Oh, that was you, not me. I don't want to get in trouble. You get over there. There we go. The censorship that is supposedly happening from Google and all of these media sites censoring conservatives. Well, the way Google, and what upsets me is, for the people that don't know, the way Google works is it goes by, is it a paid ad? Then it gets, and is it relevant to what somebody's searching for? If the answer is yes, it puts that at the top. The search results from there down go by popularity. Is it something a lot of people are looking at? And relevance to the search. So if a lot of people are looking up articles and they want the conservative point of view, you have to very carefully pick your terms, because if a lot more people are going for that information, clicking on liberal points of view, then that's the higher results you're going to get. That's going to be, the top 100 or whatever search results, because they're more popular than the others. So if you're trying to find something about Breitbart, you're probably going to have to use the search function in Breitbart and not search through Google to try and find something like that. But everybody's like, oh, it's a conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy. Google is doing the way Google does, and the way Google has done it for quite a long time now. It's nothing new. Okay, but it's something that people can latch on and make into a controversy that doesn't exist. And we have a little bit more of that coming in the other articles for today. But on to more our next subject, or more articles. America has a terrible digital divide. Elizabeth Warren has a plan for what to do. Now, what her plan is to allocate $85 billion, federal dollars, towards developing broadband networks, bringing the internet to more rural areas, which is, a good thing to show that, if in your world, this is the way things are. Well, if we can bring a different perspective, a different point of view to your world, then maybe you could do things differently or even better than before, because before you didn't have access to the ideas that you have access to ideas that you didn't necessarily have before. And I'm not talking about ideological things. I'm talking about practical things. If you're trying to fix a tractor and you don't have access to broadband, well, maybe there's an article you could read or a video you could watch that would give you a better idea, a different way of getting what you need to done. So, but that is what net neutrality was also supposed to do, to be able to bring more, broadband, the internet superhighway to more people to have access to it, so that, instead of watching a video in, standard definition, I'm talking about like NTSC old tube TV type resolutions, to now you can watch a video in true high definition like this one at a higher frame rate at 60 frames per second instead of the old 30. But hey, like I say, that's something net neutrality was supposed to do. And in this administration, they don't apparently want people to have internet access, or access to high bandwidth internet. So Elizabeth Warren, that is it's a repeat of an old thing in my point of view, because that's what net neutrality was supposed to do. Now we have to go and make laws to be able to get it done, instead of just the FCC doing what it's supposed to do and doing its job. But to our next article, and of course it's not an anything goes without an Apple story. Now, last week we talked about Apple losing sales. Well, now this is a lot of confirmation of that, as Apple slips to 4th place in the list of the world's top cell phone makers after a record drop in iPhone sales. And I wonder why this is going on, because you can go to Samsung's website and get any part of a Samsung phone that you want. They'll sell it to you. You want to replace your own battery? No problem. Go on Samsung site and go to Amazon, whatever, buy a battery, put it in there. There's iFixit website. There's YouTube videos on how to replace batteries in phones. You're good to go. But they fell behind Samsung, Huawei, which is odd, okay, and Oppo, which is a Chinese cell phone brand that is lesser known here. It's predominantly in Europe. And when I say Europe, I mean, that continent over there. But 4th place for Apple. So what's Apple's response to that? Apple is now using software locking iPhone batteries to discourage third-party repairs. So instead of improving the situation by, I don't know, having on their own site that, hey, if you want to buy a battery, here you go, XYZ amount, just pay that, we'll ship it to you, do it yourself. No. Because what they've done is now instead of, well, you might, George, well, a battery's a battery. Well, yeah, but what they want to do is they're going to put a chip in the battery that the iPhone reads and says, okay, this is an authorized battery. Or if it doesn't see that chip, it's going to say, no, this is not a good battery, and probably shut itself down. Congratulations, Apple. If you didn't have a bad enough reputation before, it's getting worse now. But that's not the only one that's starting to get a bad reputation. Because we touched on Amazon and Google listening to your captures from when your smart home devices hear the key phrase, which is their name, Alexa, or Google Hub, or in Microsoft, it's called Cortana. So I don't want to trigger anybody's devices. So now Microsoft is having contractors hear phone sex and more while reviewing Cortana Skype, which I use when Jonathan and I do the show, just like the other big giants are doing. And that's all for the same thing, is to train the AI and make it smarter. Again, it goes back to what I'm saying before, is more and more things are being done by machines and less by human beings. So what is capitalism going to look like in the future? Because you can't have a bunch of people that there are no jobs for. The reason that there are no jobs for is because robots do everything. And that's not to say that robots are going to rule the world. They might, who knows. But to our next story, Borderlands 3 Take Two, which is Take Two, addresses investigation into streamer leaks. And there's a gentleman who was leaking information about Borderlands 3, and he had his Twitter account suspended. He also had his Discord suspended because the information that he was leaking out was behind a paywall wall. Now, if he was just doing this as a quote-unquote whistleblower and not making money on it, he might have been able to get away with it. But because he had this in his Discord behind a paywall, in other words, you can't access the information unless you paid him, I think it was like $5 a month or something like that. Well, then that is what triggered this. And so far it's been a 10-month-old investigation. And this guy is a YouTuber called Submato. Whatever. But it only goes to show you just, he's not bound by what's known as a non-disclosure NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So he can legally leak this information, but because it is their private information and he's profiting from it, making videos that are monetized as well as having it in his Discord behind a paywall, I think that's what really flagged this and really got this guy in is getting this guy in trouble. But they found out who he was and they just showed up at his house. Now, where we touched on before about how Facebook and everybody lives in this safe harbor, Facebook shuts down the Raid Area 51 social media group, which it should have never been put up at all. This is an area that there are signs that just don't say, warning, no trespassing. If you're found in these areas, you have no rights. You don't have even a right to life. They will snuff you out in a heartbeat. And they're saying, oh, well, they can't stop all of us. Maybe not, but they're going to stop the vast majority of you. So Area 51 is not an area to mess with. And the guy was saying, this started as a joke, and look what it's become. Well, it's not funny. And he should have taken this down when it saw it taking traction. But just like anybody, he wanted his little 15 minutes of fame and decided just to run with it, is my best guess. But again, my point is there's some areas you don't mess with. This is one of them. My best guess is what is in Area 51 is that's where the government does testing of different technologies, that deal with, because it's run by the Air Force, of course, that deal with, experimental planes, experimental methods of propulsion, things like that. Maybe even experimental technologies. And these are things that the U.S. government understandably would want to keep secret because, they could find out what, if we do this and this, will it lead to that? Can it be used, for good? Like a microwave that parts of a microwave that NASA developed, or will it lead to much worse things? Is this something that in the wrong hands could be catastrophic? And that's what I believe why Area 51 exists and is part of the Air Force. And on to our next story. You can, according to this article, you can thank Google for making it harder to find a phone repair service. A subtle effort to kill repair shops or clumsiness. And this is a lot of hype over nothing. What it is if you look for phone repair, you're going to get a map of phone repair in your area instead of a ton of ads and things like that. Because ads are paid for, whereas if it's just shown to you in a map in your local area, the different shops that can repair your phone or your device or whatever, you can't tell me that's not better. That's not a better way to do something. Maybe a lot of people weren't offering weren't buying ads for that, so they just went this route, which would make sense. But you could still go to Google and get information on, your phone repair shops around you if you have a broken phone and need to have it fixed. But it's just different. But to our next story is that the PlayStation, Sony, Microsoft Xbox, and Nintendo and major publishers to acquire loot box disclosures. And what this is to tell you what percentage chance that you're going to have if you buy into their loot box scheme. Let's just call it what it is. It's a loot box scheme. That what the chances are you're going to get maybe what you're after or what you're looking for, a certain gun skin, like for example in Apex Legends, because I played that game quite a bit, what type of, what chance you have of getting a gold skin or a really higher priced skin out of a loot box. Which, I mean, considering that, these games are for 13 and up or something like that. Fortnite is for 14 and older. Parents, just keep your kids off this stuff until they're old enough to really be playing this type of thing. We'll see how far that goes. But on to the next story. Twitch Studio is an OBS, and I use OBS, alternative aimed at new streamers. This is, from what I understand, it's a program, just like OBS is a program. If you want to set it up specifically for streaming on Twitch, because you could quickly set up your stream, templates, manage activity, alerts, and chat, which you can pretty much do that with OBS. It is a little bit more complex because OBS is geared towards a big general way of doing things, where this is very specific to Twitch. And she's out. Apparently, I bored her to death. I bored her to sleep because she stopped purring. That's how I know. Which is pretty cool and all, but I honestly don't know that there's going to be a lot of demand for it. But that's probably why it's for new streamers. Now, something else that Jonathan and I did touch on a couple weeks ago was Twitch had this event where people were putting horrible videos into one of a dead game's channel, because when you on Twitch you select what you're doing by a channel, and then you're part of that subject or that channel. So what it is Twitch is going after the people that were putting trying to stream these horrible videos into that channel, because it, one, cost them money, two, they had to turn off streaming for new signups, because what was happening was they were streaming pornography, for example, which is forbidden by Twitch terms of service. And when Twitch would catch them, it would have to it would ban that account. Well, when that happened, a bot, these people set up these bots so that it would just create a new account and then start streaming where it left off. So Twitch is going after these people, and the judge approved being able to subpoena people that are anonymous, who are unknown to Twitch at this time, which is generally not how, from what I understand from lawful masses, is not how normally the procedure goes. The procedure normally goes is during the discovery phase, you have a better idea, but Twitch doesn't have a better idea, so they're kind of skipping this step and going forward to be able to find out who these people are, because all Twitch, my best guess is Twitch just has IP addresses, and they need to match these IP addresses to these people that were doing this, which is actually a good thing. So, because you have to be accountable. But last week we talked about Ninja going over from Twitch to Mixer. And we have the story here. Ninja already has 1 million subscribers on Mixer. For Microsoft, it looks like money well spent. Well, yeah, as it should. But the thing is on Twitch and Mixer, a subscription is something that you pay for. Right now, you could subscribe to Ninja on Mixer for free. It's not going to cost anybody any money. So the fact that he has 1 million subscribers already is kind of disingenuous in a way, because it's not if you're putting your money where your mouth is, how many people would be paying for this? And I guess we'll find that out when it actually comes to the second or third month, once these free subscriptions run out, how many people are going to actually pay to watch, get special emotes and things. from Mixer watching Ninja. But hey, that's still a good thing for him. Now, back onto the YouTube thing. This YouTuber, Brooke Houts, abuses her dog on camera. The LAPD launches an investigation. Now, people do a lot of dumb things, okay? And let's see if I can kind of run this. She goes after her dog, isn't hitting them. Now, come on. You're not smart enough that, one, you shouldn't be doing that. And two, especially shouldn't be making a video of it or live streaming it. I mean, especially if you've made a video of it and it's not from a stream. Are you that dumb? You don't think everybody and their grandmother's going to be upset watching you abuse this poor dog? But on to our next story, which is no evidence. Oh. Oop. We're all aware of what happened with the shootings that's been happening recently. And, of course, that's always tragic. And I'm not making light of that in any way, shape, or form. But there are no evidence that violent video games are causing mass shootings, despite politicians' claim. Now, this actually just doesn't touch on video games, because people have been saying, well, cartoons cause violence. Video games cause violence. Elvis shaking his hips is immoral. Okay, that's how old I am. Okay? And y'all can make fun of me all you want. You can do that, but it's, in this country, we do have serious problems with this. Okay? And they do need to be addressed. But unfortunately, this doesn't help. Partly blames video games for mass shootings. No. It's been proven time and time again that what causes mass shootings is people's oh, you're going to blame the gun. No. People's readily accessibility to guns without a check. Because you can walk into, and it's been done and proven time and time again, you can just walk into a gun show, be a felon, and buy a gun. No background check. And it's legal. It's legitimate. That loophole needs to end. Okay? We need to... we're not talking, oh, well, a card's deadly too. Yeah, you have to be licensed. You have to have insurance. And very well, unlike, and killing is not the primary purpose of a car. What's the primary purpose of a gun? Isn't to drive, well, a hammer's deadly too. Yeah, but what's its primary function? Is to drive nails into wood or whatever. Gun has one purpose. That's to kill people, really. Well, it's a sport. Well, that's fine. You're not killing people doing that as a sport. But when you just let any person, regardless of their mental condition, have access to a deadly weapon, well, this is what's going to happen. And you say, well, they'll just use other things. Yeah, but what's more effective? Can you do a mass murder with a hammer? Not likely, because people run the heck away from you. But you going to outrun a bullet? No. So what is another consequence to this? Walmart pulls violent video game signs after mass shooting. The company says it made the move out of respect and will continue to sell guns. What part of stupid is this? This is one of those oof things. Like, okay, one has nothing to do with the other. And what it is it's not going to promote, like, we have the banners that go over the magnetic anti-theft detectors that usually promote a video game like Call of Duty or whatever. They're going to take those signs away. But they're going to continue to sell guns. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't sell guns, but if you're going to do something, do the right thing that's going to help the situation, and not do the wrong thing just to say that you did something, because what you did was actually very, very stupid. But on to our last article of the evening. For this month, August, the Impossible Whopper will be available at Burger Kings across the country. And this is the all-vegetable meat substitute that I guess it really took off in Canada, where it launched. And they did do it in 59 restaurants in St. Louis area. They have 59 restaurants in St. Louis on April Fool's Day. But they're going to try it nationwide at 7,200 U.S. locations for the rest of this month. Well, normally that's the end of the show. That's our last article for today. Normally we do take like an hour and 20 minutes, but with no Jonathan, I got through this very, very quickly because no one to bounce this stuff over. I mean, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I would rather have Jonathan over there, but I got the kitty cam, and Kitty really doesn't care about the commentary. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Anything Goes. Hopefully, we'll be back next week with our regular back and forth. I'll get with Jonathan and strangle him or something. No, I won't do that, metaphorically speaking. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. Follow me on Twitter, which is up there. I think up there. Am I pointing at it? Yep, up there. YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a penny. Follow me on Twitch Twitch and Mixer. And everybody have a great week and a great weekend. And we'll see you guys next week.